bring in Donald Trump. It's just one short week ago when you were in our studio. Now you're back nested in one of your towers. Donald Trump, welcome back.
Well, I did enjoy. Last week was fun. We all had a good time, I hope, but I had a lot of fun.
Oh, we did. It was great to see you in person.
Donald, let's ask you, by the way, that was a blast for us all, but now let's get down to business here. Obamacare and defunding the government, do they fight to defund it, Republicans, or they let it fail on its own?
Well, I say defund it, and it's probably going to fail on its own anyway, but the country's going to fail if it's not defunded or ended, because Obamacare is a disaster. So many people are closing up their businesses, or to get around it, they're hiring only part-time help. And they're taking, in some cases, workers that have been with them for 25 years and making them part-time workers. So unless something's done with Obamacare, the whole country is going to be defunded.
But as long as the president's name's on it, Donald, he's not going to allow this. If you're somebody who knows when to pick a fight, is this the right time to fight?
I think it's always the right time to fight on something so important. I think you really have to do it, Brian. And it's something that obviously you don't want to close up government. I don't think that's going to happen, but you have no choice. And he's going to have a big choice to make. I think the Republicans have to unite. They're not united at all, and they have to unite. And if they do, they're going to win. They have amazing cards. They have an amazing negotiating point here. And they also have soon coming up, as you know, you have the debt ceiling coming up. That's going to be another interesting time. But this is a great negotiating tactic and a great negotiating point to get rid of Obamacare. You do have a much better chance. I listen to the pundits, and they say, oh, you can't do it, you can't do it.
Right.
You actually do have a good chance, and they should hang tough, and they have to unite. If they don't unite, they're not going to make it.
Okay, so what's going to happen, I think as early as Wednesday, Harry Reid's going to bring up an important procedural vote. He needs 60 votes. He's only got 54 Democrats and people who align with his party, caucus with his party. So what are you suggesting? Are you suggesting that all of the Republicans follow Ted Cruz's lead and just not even allow this particular House bill that was passed by the House on Friday that would fund the government but defund Obamacare? You're suggesting all the Republicans, you know, they stand up and they say, nope, can't go for it?
They have to do that because Obamacare is very destructive to the country. And I will tell you something, all of those Democrats that are going out on the limb and going to fight for it, they don't believe in it themselves. It's
I know.
a disaster.
Right.
And you're going to have a great election coming up for a lot of people in 2014. And you just wait till you see. I mean, those people that are trying to fight for Obamacare, they're going to end up losing their election. So you're going to have, and you're already having it, but you're going to have defectors in the Democratic Party. You're going to see. It's going to be really very interesting what happens. But you will have Democrats defecting. They don't want to have to be selling Obamacare because they're going to lose an election if they do it.
Aren't some of those Democrats actually hoping to have the Republicans stop the funding for the government so that they don't have to take the blame when it becomes a failure, though?
They want nothing to do with this fight. They don't like this fight, and they're talking very big right now, oh, they're not going to be able to do it. The fact is, The Republicans are in a much stronger position than they're led to believe, and they've got to fight it. And I'll tell you, at worst, you're going to have tremendous numbers of Democrats losing elections because they're sitting. The people don't want Obamacare. They just don't want it. You look at any poll, you speak to anybody you want to speak to, very few. The number of 33%, I think, is a total. By the way, that's a very small number. But I think it's way high. I think it's much. It's a much worse number than that.
When you look at the polls, you're absolutely right. A majority of Americans don't like Obamacare. But you look at other polls, and a majority of Americans don't want the government to shut down. And if the government shuts down, the Republicans are going to take the blame.
Look at it this way. The government is going to shut down automatically if Obamacare. We cannot afford Obamacare. And it's not even good. It doesn't work.
Right.
It's too complex. You know, it's one thing if it was fabulous and solved everybody's problems and everybody was going to get great service and great. The fact is it doesn't work. So they're fighting for something that doesn't work and probably that's going to fold on its own merit.
Well, it's absolutely it was absolutely true that they had a terrible week. The Cleveland Clinic, Sears, IBM, all saying we're going to exchanges or we're laying people off. We're going to go over all those examples in business, and it's time for business to stand up for themselves for a change. Now let's move over to something else that's happening in stopping traffic in New York City. The UN's back in session. The new Iranian president comes into town. Word is this is going to be the first opportunity since 1979 for the President of the United States to meet with this president. Should we?
Absolutely, you should. And, you know, I know I have a lot of Republican friends that say don't meet, you know, hardliners where they say don't meet. And I guess I'm the most hardline of all. You have nothing. It's not weak to meet. You know, you make deals. I mean, you do things. Now, it doesn't mean weakness. You have a meeting. It may be good. It may be bad. He should take a very, very hard line, President Obama, extremely hard. But he should absolutely meet. There's no question about it. I was listening to Karl Rove and others saying, don't meet. Well, Karl Rove hasn't done so well.
Isn't it that, though, that the meetings seem to be selective, that he's willing to sit down and negotiate with some but not others? I mean, I think the idea of negotiating is okay, exactly. When it comes to Capitol Hill, there's another story.
Well,
so
I think he should meet with everybody. I mean, I'm a person that believes in meetings, and you make deals or you don't make deals. But it's not through weakness. I mean, whether he meets with him or meets with Putin or meets with the Republicans. I mean, frankly, he should be meeting with the Republicans all the time. And if the meeting doesn't work, he should have another meeting. There's no weakness there. It's called negotiating. It's called deal-making. But he's never made a deal before, so it's a little bit tough for him. I mean, he's having a hard time with it. But
he did run.
He should meet with everybody.
He did run by saying he wants to meet with our enemies. He just hasn't done it with Cuba, with Venezuela.
So, Donald Trump, exit question, by Wednesday, will there be an image of our president of the United States shaking hands with the president of Iran?
Well, I think he should meet with him. I think he should do it through strength. There could be that image, and that image is fine. That doesn't bother me at all.
Well, you're the master of the boardroom indeed, so maybe some advice should come from you.
And it was a great feature on your daughter on Chris Wallace's show.
I'll tell you, Chris was so nice to her, and I appreciate it. I wish he'd treat me that way. It would be fantastic. It was a great show, and Chris was very fair.
I agree.
Mr. T, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, 13 minutes now after the top of the hour.